All right, let's work through the accounts receivable aging report for your data analytics problem. So in this problem, we are going to look at all of our accounts receivable and see how many of them are 1 to 30 days, how many are 31 to 60, how many 61 to 90, how many 91 to 120, and how many over 120 days. Okay. So this is going to be a number of if statements or if and statements. And we can look at this. So the first one we want to look at is we want to see if something is between 1 and 30 days. So we'll use an if statement. And the if statement simply says we put some kind of logical test. So if this F2 is less than 31, then we want to return the E2, otherwise return nothing. Okay. And so we can actually copy that all the way down, and it'll show us all of the ones that were between 0 and 30 days. So I put in less than 31 days, right? And that's my logical test. For this 31 to 60, it's a little bit harder. So what we want to do is we'll say we want to use an if and statement. So we're doing if, but we're doing and, okay, and we're looking at two logical arguments. So the first one, I love how it gives the explanation here. The first one, we're seeing if this F2 is less than 61. Okay? And the second test is if F2 is greater than 30. Okay, and if it satisfies both of those, then we're going to return the E2 invoice amount. Otherwise, we return nothing. Right? And we can copy that all the way down. I is column is going to be the same thing, except we're doing 61 to 90 days, right? So it's if, and we do and we're looking if F2 is less than 91 days and F2 is greater than 60 days, right? Then I want to return the invoice amount. Otherwise, I'll return nothing. Okay. J is going to be the same thing. If and so we look at if F2 is less than 121 days and F2 is greater than 90 days, then return the invoice amount. Otherwise, return nothing. And then for this last one, this is going to be easy again, right? We're saying if F2 is greater than 120 days, then return the invoice amount. Otherwise, return nothing. Okay, and so we've copied all of these down. We can see most of them are between the 0 and 30 days. So that's very helpful. Okay, now let's make our pivot table because we always like to make the pivot table. So we make our pivot table in a new worksheet. It'll automatically filled in my table range, but you might have to do yours. Okay, so we build our pivot table. So let's look at these questions. So we go down Q1. What is the total amount that customers owe the company A that is between 31 and 90 days? Okay, so we can look here, and so we can look at 31 to 60 and our 61 to 90. Okay, and let's put these, um, let's see. No, no, all in the columns. Let's just put them in our values and see what it looks like. Oh, there we go. So this is our count, but we want our total amounts. So we don't want to count, we want the sum. So let's do the sum of each of these. Okay. We just play with it, right, until we get the data we want. So here we want the sum of 31 to 60 days and the sum of 61 to 90 days. And let's add these together. Okay. Okay, we're gonna have to make that column wider just so we can see the whole number, and there it is. Okay. And so let's put that in, and hopefully that's what they're looking for. It is. Okay, Q2, what is the total amount that Rodriguez, Jettison, Ianelli, and Morrow owe that is within 30 days of the invoice? Okay, this is interesting, right? So now we're just looking at 30 days of the invoice. So let's get rid of these. And we are looking by customer. So we'll put our customers in the rows, and we'll put the 30 days of the invoice in our column there, right? So those are the values we're looking at. But we're going to filter. We only want to look at certain ones. So let's do this and look at Rodriguez Jettison. So we want Rodriguez, Rodriguez Jettison. and Ianelli and Morrow. Ianelli and Morrow, and we look just filtering at those. And now this is saying the count. We don't want the count again, right? We want the sum. And so there we can have the sum. So we can say, okay, what is the total amount? So we're looking at the total amount, which right here is our sum, and we can plug that in there. Let's see if I was looking at the right thing. Presto. Okay, Q3, how many of the following companies owe more than 6,100? That is at least 91 days past the invoice date. Wow. Okay, so we have a specific amount, 6,100. Okay, so first let's look at everything that these guys owe that's past 91 days. Okay, so we're going to filter. First of all, we don't want the 1 to 30 days. We want the greater than 91 days. So I said greater than 91 days, right? So we're going to look at the 91 to 120 and over 120, and we're going to filter. Let's look at just these specific companies. Heathcote Shilling. Let's go Heathcote. Heathcote Shilling. And yours are going to be different names, right? Shilling. Olive Scardoni. Olive Scardoni and Zanetti. Zanetti. Okay, so those are mine. So this doesn't look right. Right? So I don't think I want all those in the rows. I think I actually want to move these down to values, the 91 to 120 and 120 plus. Again, I don't want the counts, right? So let's look um, at the values. Okay. Where's the sums? So let's look at the sums. So I can look at these, and it's saying how many of the following companies owe more than 61,000. Okay, so let's look at these. First, I'm going to do a sum for each of these companies. Okay, and I'll look at each company. Okay, and now I could just count and say which of them is over 61,000. Actually, they all look, or 6,100, 6,100. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They all are. Okay. That's interesting. So let's see if that's what they're looking for. That is what they're looking for. So I can do that and just count them up. I also could do like a count if statement. Okay. So I could say equals count if, and then I would look at the range, comma, and then I could do my criteria being, let's see, greater than 6,100, right? And it would give me 5. So I could do that as well and use the count if statement. Okay, let's look at this last Q4. What is the total amount that company A expects to collect from all invoices, assuming the following collection rates based on the number of days outstanding? Oh, this one actually isn't even using um, our Excel sheet or pivot table that we had, right? Um, company A, wait. Unless there is a company A. Let's see if there's a company A. Yeah, I don't see a company A. Oh, wait, maybe we are company A. Let's see. We company A? Company A. So we are company A. Okay. So what we're going to do is use these percentages and look at our total amount. So let's change our pivot table. So I have to get rid of that. Let's change our pivot table, and we are going to look at, don't need our customers anymore. All we need to do is put all of these into our values. Okay. We're gonna have to change them all to be sums again now. So we put all of those into our values, okay? And we change them all to be sums. I don't know why it keeps defaulting to count. I don't really want counts, I want values. Okay. Okay. So there I have my sum for each of these, and it's giving me percentages of my that I'm going to get paid back on. Okay. So it's saying, okay, was the total amount the company expects to collect from all these invoices. So I expect to collect 90% of what's 1 to 30 days, 80% of 31 to 60, 50%, so forth. So all I have to do is do that times that. Okay, I can drag that across to all of them, and then I can do a sum of all the amounts I'm going to collect. Okay. And so this should be the total amount that I'm going to collect. Okay, there we go. And I'll let you read that last one and figure it out by just looking at that. Okay. So I hope this was helpful and have a wonderful day.